Hello, and thank you for watching this April 25th weather update, brought to you by Agrible, the makers of Morning Farm Report. My name is Eric Snodgrass, and I'm a senior atmospheric scientist and co-founder of Agrible. The Great Plains have been the target for adverse weather for the start of the growing season. Last week's Omega block in the jet stream allowed for a continual rain from Texas through the Dakotas. As we forecast, Houston and nearby areas were the main target, and over 15 inches of rain fell in some locations. Over 1,000 emergency rescues had to be performed due to the floodwaters. While it was wet in the central states, the main parts of the Corn Belt were very busy with field prep and planting, as some locations went well over a week without rain. But coming back to the Great Plains, on Sunday, severe storms erupted across Kansas. Satellite imagery captured the entire event as numerous storms fired along a boundary parked in central Kansas. Spin in the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere aided in the initiation of these storms and provided the necessary wind shear to allow them to become severe. While there were 6 reports of tornadoes in Kansas and Nebraska, there were numerous reports of very large hail. Pictures of the hail revealed that many of these stones bordered on baseball size. Stones of this size will fall from the sky at about 125 miles per hour, faster than any major league pitcher can throw a baseball. Hailstones this large often have layers of clear and opaque ice. Most hailstones form as supercooled water in the storm freezes on contact with an ice crystal. The extremely powerful updraft in the storm supports their weight, as the hail embryo grows into a small hailstone. The clear layers of ice form as the water freezes slowly, the so-called wet growth stage. When this happens, few air bubbles are trapped in the ice, leaving it very clear. But when the freezing happens quickly, the air bubbles do become trapped, and the ice appears opaque. Hail is always a threat throughout the growing season. We at Agrible not only forecast the likelihood of severe storms that produce hail, but also immediately detect it at the field level the moment it falls. Our advanced detection algorithm will inform you of the size, density, and duration of each hail event on your fields and alert you each day. Hail detection is a part of Morning Farm Report and is another tool to help you manage your weather risk. Well, speaking of severe weather threats, the ingredients are coming together once again on Tuesday in the Southern Plains. The Storm Prediction Center is watching Texas through Nebraska and parts of Missouri for the potential of strong to severe storms to form. So what exactly are they watching? Every severe thunderstorm forms due to a combination of 4 ingredients. Overlaying each helps us pinpoint where the storms are forecast to form. The best environment has a lot of surface moisture. On Tuesday, a plume of nearly 70-degree dew point air will stream north out of the Gulf of Mexico into the southern United States. We meteorologists refer to this as the open Gulf. Once the moist air is in place, we look for something to trigger the storms, like a front or a boundary. On Tuesday, that boundary will be the dry line. Here, the warm, humid air from the Gulf of Mexico meets the very dry air from New Mexico, West Texas, and eastern Colorado. As this air converges along the boundary, it is forced to rise upward into the atmosphere. Rising air expands and cools, and condensation begins to form the cumulonimbus clouds that make up the thunderstorm. These clouds will stretch 30,000 to 50,000 plus feet into the atmosphere and only stop rising when they slam into the very stable stratosphere which is above them. The air will only do this, though, if the atmosphere has destabilized. We monitor the stability of the air by looking at an index called CAPE, which stands for Convective Available Potential Energy. Essentially, the more CAPE you have, the bigger and badder the storms. For reference, even 1,000 joules per kilogram of CAPE is enough to fuel a severe thunderstorm. On Tuesday, some locations in the enhanced risk area will have over 4 times that much. Now, the last thing we need is wind shear, which is a change in wind speed and direction with height. If those surface winds are southerly, then we want southwesterly winds in the mid-levels of the atmosphere. Sure enough, on Tuesday, a deep trough in the jet stream will provide the wind shear profile we need for severe storms to form. So, be on the lookout in this area for severe storms on Tuesday. Now, by Wednesday, the threat for severe weather moves east with this whole system, so look out in the mid-Mississippi River Valley and in parts of Illinois and eventually into Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Ohio. In addition to all of this week has the potential to be very wet in places that have already been too wet this year. On Monday morning, expect rain to spread across the upper Great Lakes region. There's a small chance for storms farther south too, like in Illinois, as the remnants of Sunday night storms move through this area. Then on Tuesday, storms fire up in the central states, and then on Wednesday, Iowa, Illinois, and Indiana see the storms and rain too. Then we're watching a late week system pull through the southern plains again, bringing even more rain and storms. At this time, the precipitation totals might be a bit exaggerated, but the potential exists for a lot more rain. Remember, this same area has already been hit several times this spring. Now, in terms of temperatures, Monday and Tuesday will be warm for most of the Corn Belt, but after that, the jet stream sets up to allow cooler air to take over again, just like it kind of did at the beginning of April. This cooler air will likely be in place through the start of May, but not nearly as cold as we saw at the beginning of April. Even though this pattern looks really cool, the threat of a widespread frost freeze event is very low for the Corn Belt. Well, as always, we at Agrible will bring you the latest and best weather forecast information through our morning farm report so that you can efficiently plan your operations. We thank you for your attention and hope you look forward to our next weather video update. Thank you.